I was the oldest of 4 daughters, so the classic overachiever, oldest child. But I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be in the Air Force just like my dad. And luckily for me, my dad was very supportive of this idea. And in fact, he had, even though he himself was not an academy grad, he had put academy grads on a pedestal. And one day when I was in 8th grade, Mom hosted a dinner for Dad and some of his coworkers, and they were talking about the Air Force Academy. And I was sitting at the dinner table, an 8th grader, and I said, well, that sounds like someplace I'd like to go. And my dad said, well, you can't, because they don't take women into the Air Force Academy. And I said in front of all these coworkers of his, I said, well, that's wrong. And they all laughed at me, but I guess I had the last laugh. From the great state of Oregon, Senator Mark Hatfield put me in for a nomination, and I got selected. And my dad was, I think, probably one of the proudest parents you could imagine, knowing his daughter was going to not only be in the Air Force, but be a graduate of the Air Force Academy. I think that first day, it was a bit of a shock to realize that there was some resistance to us coming here. People, of course, remember the negatives, but if I were to think about it hard, I'm willing to place money that there were way more positively supportive people around me than negative. When I came to the academy, the thing that was gratifying to see was that it was, as advertised, in my view, the best way to develop officership. They do a great job of laying down what I would call the foundational principles that you can apply for effectively any situation you find yourself in. The foundations of character, the foundations of integrity, the foundations of service. It was really and truly a great start to becoming an officer and a leader in the United States Air Force. It really did match all of my expectations about what it was to be then put forth and be a servant leader in our nation as a member of the armed forces. I think the great thing about the Academy is that it really did live up to the hype. And that was, that doesn't always happen. When I went to go to NASA, I knew when I took that assignment that it was a temporary assignment for me, and that ultimately I would ask for an assignment to return back to the Air Force. The Air Force is my identity. On occasion, we would have the head of Space Command come and visit the astronauts down in Houston. Whenever that happened, I would wear a military uniform when they would come and hold a meeting with all of the NASA astronauts. I was usually the only astronaut who would wear a military uniform. So for me, I felt differently probably than many of the Air Force astronauts who were there. My plan always was I would know when the moment came, and I would come back to the Air Force when it was time. And then September 11th happened in 2001, and from that point on, I started to have some thoughts about coming back to the Air Force and figuring out how to give back. I had had 5 missions by that point, and it felt like I was an ace, so that felt like a good number to walk away from. When I think about the things that make me happy, it is doing works of service. And I think being a member of the Long Blue Line is ultimately the epitome of a work of service. You're there, you were part of a Long Blue Line, but really, it's not about what I did, it's about hopefully helping the people that are going to follow in my footsteps, helping them to see what it is that they can be, and helping them get to their best potential as leaders and officers. I am positive that no matter how good my generation did, as far as leading the Air Force, thanks to the Long Blue Line and the way that the next generations behind us can look to the Long Blue Line, they're going to be even better at this than we are.